Hello, welcome back to another Quick Truth. My name is Derek Truesdell. This week we're going to be continuing on through the book of Ephesians. This week is Ephesians 6, verses 1 through 4. Those verses say, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord." Now, as you look at these verses, they're talking about raising children. And like last week, we were talking about the family structure. This is basically like an offshoot of that. So it's continuing on with that same idea. And it's just moving from the relationship of the parents to the parents and the children. So it's saying here, the first thing is right off, children obey your parents, and it's talking about the 10 commandments. So the fifth commandment is honor your father and your mother. And it's saying that it's quoting that commandment right here in this verse. And it's saying that command is the first one in that list of 10 commandments that has a promise attached to it. So you have the first ones that are all like, have no other gods before me, don't say my name in vain, and honor the Sabbath day to keep it holy. So all of those commands are just outright commands. There's no promise attached to them. But then you get this one, honor your father and mother, and it's attached this promise to it. This is that it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land. So he's saying, if you do this thing, this is a promise that will be given to you. The children, if you follow what your parents are saying, if you obey and you learn self-discipline, it's going to go better for you in your life. That's a promise from God. So that's a very important thing then, if there's a promise attached to it and it's a 10 commandments. So how should we go about this thing? How do children learn? How do children obey? It goes on to talk about this. But just a side note, our culture has kind of moved on to where the parents are pretty busy, doing whatever they're doing, getting their jobs. They do raise the children, but we're preoccupied with a lot of stuff. And if we want our children to learn the Bible and to learn what God says, we kind of leave that to the youth pastor a lot of times. And that's really not how it's supposed to be. The youth pastor is not supposed to be the only time they're getting Bible and learning how to do these things. It's supposed to be the parents' job primarily. So the parents are the one that have the responsibility to teach their children the Bible and what God says and how to obey this thing and be real-life examples of what this looks like. So we can't just give them to the youth pastor and say, it's your job to teach them, like 30 minutes a week, basically, and give them all the knowledge that they need. That's not how it's supposed to work. The youth pastor is there to, teach the children, but it's supposed to be in supplement of what the parents are already doing. So it's the parents' responsibility to teach these children, and the youth pastor kind of comes alongside them and helps them. So it's not primarily his job. And that was a side note. So children need to obey, but it doesn't come naturally to children. And we all know this. Like, as an adult, I know that self-discipline and doing what I know I should do is not always, easy to do. It doesn't come naturally. So how much more, we all know that. We all know it's hard to discipline ourselves. It's hard to do things that, we know that we should do. So how much more difficult is it for a child? Like, they don't have the experience of going through these things, and they have to learn these things, and it's difficult. And our culture has kind of moved to a point where we basically say, learn from your children how to raise them. So it's not the parents anymore teaching the children. It's the parent, coddling the child and trying to learn from the child what they need and how they should be raised and give them all the information so they can make a decision on their own. But the child is a blank slate. He needs instruction. He needs discipline. So if he's not doing the correct thing, he needs instruction. Like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And if he messes up, he needs discipline to get back on the right path. Because if he doesn't have that discipline, he'll never learn self-discipline. He'll never be able to get himself in line as he's growing up and as he becomes an adult. So this instruction and this discipline teaches the child to obey, and if they can obey, this promise is attached to it that they will live longer on the earth. So what we're seeing here today, in summary, is basically a continuation of last week. So we have the relationship of the parents, and then it's how does that relate to the children. And so we teach the children to obey, and we give them instruction, and we help them to obey and give them discipline to put them back on the right track when they go off track. So we're teaching them. It's not primarily the youth pastor's job. It's the parent's job to raise the child, to give that instruction, to give the discipline. And as we are correct on last week's thing, we move into be correct on this thing, and we teach the children how to have a relationship with God and how to be an adult in this world. So that's been another Quick Truth. Thanks for watching. God bless, and I'll see you next time.